with something illegal? Yes. Okay. So we're reviewing today, including homework questions. I have the SMART open for the worksheets and the bookwork on law of sines and cosines. I can go back. Well, that's all that's really on this homework check, right? So I have all those open. I can go over anything you need to. Michael. I'm going to say that's not a good way to spend our time. Okay? Because that question isn't on the quiz. It's this one, right? Okay. Let me give you a little hint, and then I'm going to move on. If you do this, you get a rectangle in here, right? If this base is 10 and this base was 15, okay? If you took a 90 out of this 132, this is 42. Did I do that right? And then you can find the height, and then it's 1/2 the height times the sum of the two bases, which are the parallel sides. Is that enough information? But not on the quiz. What else? On this worksheet number 2? Okay. What you have to do on this question, is it asking for the height of the tower? Okay. What you have to do, and my drawing is going to be really bad, always anyway, but okay. This is 15 over here, right? Okay. If this is 18.6, can we find this whole angle right here? This is a straight up and down tower, so there's a 90 plus an 18.6. Does everybody see that? So this angle in this corner would be, did I add that right, 108.6? Or is it 118? No, it's 108, right? Okay. The other trick is down here in this corner. This tower makes a 90 with the ground. So 90 minus 21.4, somebody helping me out? 68.6. Somebody help me. 90 minus 21.4. Okay. So then if we subtract those two from 180, what's left for this itty bitty angle up here? Like 1 or 2 degrees. I don't remember. (180) minus 108.6 minus 68.6. 2.8. Okay. Now, if we use this triangle, so the sine of 2.8 is across from 15. Does everybody see that now? All the way over there. Then I want to find this side. What's across from that? The 108.6 is across from that in that little skinny triangle down there. I'm sorry, it's too far for you to see. Is that better? All right, then once I have X, can I find Y over here? Can you finish up now? Because you'll be able to use this triangle over here. Okay. Yep, a lot of icky finding angles on that one. Not on this quiz. The 2 application questions asked on this quiz are very straightforward, but that doesn't mean they're going away. They'll probably show up again at some point because it's important that you be able to do applications. But the 2 I put on this quiz are very easy. So you'll probably all get a 5 and then be upset when I put it on there again, but warning you now. What else? Something off the review, something off the book. The review starts with graphing fun stuff like this. Anybody want me to go there? Okay. I can go back and answer more questions off the homework, but right now, review, packet, I think it would be helpful if we went back over some of this. All right, this is graphing. What can you tell me about this? Okay, so the shape is a negative cosine like this. okay? Up 1. So the midline is y equals 1. 2 pi over 2 makes the period pi. Left, pi over 2. Okay. Okay. If it starts to the left, pi over 2, and it finishes pi later, where does it finish by? Negative pi over 2. Well, just do the quarter points if you want. What are the quarter points? Take the period, right? Divide it by 4, and you get pi over 4, yes? That's what you're going to add on to the phase shift over and over and over. So those of you who are calculator phobes, or I mean fraction phobes, and rely on your calculator, so we're at negative 1/2, and we're going to add 1/4, which is negative 1/4 is the next quarter point. If you add 1/4, you'll be where? At 0? Whoa. Oh, I did 1 times 4. Okay, I'm going to assume you can do this now. Add 1/4, you'll be at 0. Add 1/4, you'll be at pi over 4. Add 1/4, you'll be at pi over 2. Are we okay? Now, it was a negative cosine, so it starts at the minimum. Where's the minimum for this? If it's up 1, but it has an amplitude of 3, the maxes are at 4, but 1 minus 3 is negative 2. Okay, and where does it start? At negative pi over 2, it's at its minimum, right? And it finishes at pi over 2, negative 2. Okay, so what should it be doing halfway in between there? Should be up here at the maximum. This looking right to anybody? On this graph on the quiz, I may have actually put the 5 little blanks for the ordered pairs, okay? I can't remember, but either way, you only have to do 1 period, but you need 5 ordered pairs. Is that clear? Any questions for me? There's remediation on this if you need more practice, all right? Phase just concern me, so. All right, the other question in this same part of the quiz is given a graph. Some of you are struggling with finding the period. Okay, I noticed on some things. You just need to decide where you're going to start and then how far till it finishes. If I start here, which I don't have to, but if I do, it finishes 1 cycle here. So how do I find the period? Yes, I subtract. It started here and finished here. So the difference or the distance from 5 pi over 6 back to pi over 3 is the period. How long did it take to go from there to there? All right. If you do 5, 6 minus 1/3 on your calculator, you should get pi, right? 1? No. Just kidding. This would be 2, 6, 3, 6. Yes, 1/2. Okay. I knew. I'm there. I'm good. Okay. When you subtract here, you get 1/2, and it's half a pi. So if this is the period, how do we find the b again? it's always 2 pi divided by the period or 2 pi divided by b to get the period, whichever. Okay, we do a little fraction work. We flip this over. The pi divides out and we get the b is going to be a 4 in our equation. Are we good? Okay, amplitude. Well, midline's easier to find first, yes? Where's the midline? Between -1 and 5, add those as 4 divided by 2 is 2. Probably should have found that before I ever assumed those points there, but so this is up 2, and that goes where? The very back of my equation here somewhere. All right. So the amplitude is how far above and below 2 it's going, which is how much? So that goes out in front. What shape do you want to do? Okay. A positive sign or a negative sign? If you do a negative sign, that's what I have shown in green right there, right? You could do a positive sign, you could do a positive cosine. You just need to find, or a negative cosine. You just have different points. Okay, if you did a negative cosine from here, it would work, or you did a positive cosine from here, or you could even do a positive sign from here. It doesn't matter. If you want to do a negative cosine, then no, you told me sine. Just kidding, right? You want to do what I outlined in green? Is that what you said? So that's a negative sine shape starting here. So the phase shift is going to be what? Okay. And the one on the quiz, guys, has multiple answers, so it's kind of write down what you think it is, and Hofbauer try and figure out if it works. Any questions about that one still? Okay, that flows right into all the modeling stuff. I made sure I gave the homework check back, so everybody has the blue worksheet back. I only assigned 3 problems on that. And a lot of you didn't check your answers, okay? So you threw something down and I gave you points, but the answer key is posted the day I gave it out, I think, but it's also the actual physical answer key is for the blue sheet isn't blue, but it's right in front of the review in the binder over there. Do you want to do a Ferris wheel question or a tide question? Let me see what I have if I have something that isn't even on the blue sheet. I don't know what this is from, but let's... I don't know where this is from. Each day tide continuously goes in and out, raising and lowering a boat. At low tide, the boat is only 2 feet above the ocean floor. So that's telling me the minimums are at 2. Does that seem okay, guys? 6 hours later at peak tide. Okay, so if it goes from low tide to high tide in 6 hours, what is that telling me? I could do a negative cosine, probably. What's the period going to be? 12, because this is only half a period, right? Okay, and it says the high tide is at 40. Okay, and let's see. The first low tide occurs at 1 p.m. So if this is, it says let X be hours after noon. So 1 p.m. is here. And what happens at 1 p.m.? It's at its lowest. And it said 6 hours later it's at its highest. What would 6 hours later be? And 6 hours after that is, it would be 13 p.m. No, it would be 1. This is 1 p.m. We're not using military time. This would be 1 a.m. But 13 hours after. Yeah, I know. That's what I meant. But this isn't in military time, either of these. All right, anyway. It's 13 hours afternoon. It's not going to matter for our equation. Anybody confused so far about those facts? Okay. I want to go through this kind of quickly, so tell me what you know. Midline, average those, and you get 21. So how far above that? So what do you want to call this graph? A negative cosine? Oh, it said to write a sine function. I'm just gonna not ignore that. I don't tell you what you have to write. What do you want to do? If we do a negative cosine, what's the amplitude? Okay, and we're gonna need a phase shift to the right one, and a vertical shift. Our midline was at 21. Period is what usually kills people. It's not 13. This is 13. Yes, it says 13. The period is from here to here, which was 12. So if the period is 12, what is going to go in the equation? If you wrote 2 pi over 12, I wouldn't count it wrong, okay? Now, on this quiz, it does say, predict the tide at 8:30 or something weird. Okay, so you have to be able to graph it on your calculator and find that value. You would just put in an 8.5 for x, right? Either trace or the table. What mode are you going to have to be in? Radians. I'm going to remind you this tomorrow, but you're going to start the quiz in radians, and then there's a point on the quiz where I tell you to switch to degrees, okay? But you got to see the directions, because I know a lot of us like totally skip over directions. All right. What? Yeah, what are those? Okay, do you need me to graph this on the calculator? I'm free for all. Tell me what you want me to do. Keep going on the review. Do you need another one of these? We can come back if you need to. Yeah, I think we need to do these. Okay. One version of the quiz says graph a tangent 2 periods, and one version says graph a cotangent 2 periods. There's no phase shift, there's no stretch, there's no vertical shift. Okay, I'm telling you right now. So I just gave you the answers, right? No, because it says you have to accurately label, okay? You have to graph 2 periods. You have to label for these 2 intercepts and 3 asymptotes. Is that going to give me 2 periods? I think so, yes. Okay, so what can you tell me about tangent? That shape through the origin, that's what you got to know. Cotangent is different. It's the other shape, but no, it's not all we have to do. I was just trying to contrast these as we go. You're good. This one is the other shape, but what else is true? This is an asymptote, right? So it's shifted over here somewhere. Now I do 3 periods. You don't have to draw 3 periods. There's 2 periods of that one. Okay. That's not going to get you full credit until you do what? Okay, we got 0, 0, and how far until it's done and back there? Pi. That is 2 periods, but you need 3 asymptotes for me. What are the equations of those lines? Halfway between 0 and pi would be, and exactly that same distance on the other side. Clearly that is the same distance on my graph. Okay. And if this is 1 pi over 2, 0, I'm sorry, negative pi over 2, 0 is where it had a 0, pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2. Yes, obviously this and this are equivalent. Not quite. All right. Over here, anybody remember? Well, let's start with the period. What's the period? Pi, right? So there's asymptote out here at 2 pi or one over here at negative pi. There is one at 0. Thank you. Okay. And yes, we should be writing those as x equals, but I'm not too worried about that on the quiz. If you just label them, I'll be happy. Okay, what are these ordered pairs then? Clearly not drawn accurately. The big dot theorem may come into play here, but they should be pi over 2, 0, negative pi over 2, 0. That's enough. If you went 2 positive periods, this one would have been 3 pi over 2. But you don't have to have, you can just do one on either side or whatever's comfortable for you. Got it? All right, what about this bad boy? What am I going to graph first? 4 cosine 1/3 theta. Tell me how to graph that. The amplitude is 4, so it's going to go from 4 to negative 4. It's a cosine without a shift, so it's going to start here. You have to draw a couple periods of this one. Okay. The period is 2 pi divided by 1/3, or 2 pi times 3 over 1, which is 6 pi. So be careful. Cosine started here, so it finishes here, right? Quarter points are that divided by 4, which is 3 pi over 2. So this is 3 pi over 2. We add another 3 pi over 2, which is 6 pi over 2, which is going to be here. We add another 3 pi over 2, and we get... Now you don't... We actually... Well, we do need all these points, I guess, eventually. All right. Now, would it be easier to keep going the other way since it's symmetric? Could we just label these, right? All right. You have to draw 2 periods of what? What do we have to do now? All the asymptotes are where it hit the x-axis. So this is 3 pi over 2. This asymptote is at 9 pi over 2. This asymptote is at negative 3 pi over 2. This asymptote is at negative 9 pi over 2. If you wanted to keep going this way, the next one would be at... No. If you get a secant graph tomorrow in your quiz, because it's cosine, I would just do 1 period positive and 1 period negative because it's symmetric, right? All right. What else do I have to do to finish, though? I have to flip these guys over and label the maxes and mins is what it's going to say. So this ordered pair right here is negative 3 pi, negative 4. This ordered pair was over here was negative 6 pi 4. This one in here would be 0, 4. This one down here would be 3 pi negative 4. This guy over here would be 6 pi positive 4. Any questions? It looks like a hot mess when I'm all done. I'll try to do better on the next one. Okay, I'd like to do one more if that's okay. This is, what am I graphing first? 2 sine 4 theta. Okay. So this is going to go from 2 to negative 2. What's the period? Okay, so I'm not, oh, big mistake already, sign, right? It should be really small, but I'm not going to worry too much about squeezing it in. Can I do that and squeeze one in over this way? Is that okay? Did I draw 2 periods? It's weird, but did I draw complete 2 periods? Okay. I got 2 down bumps and 2 up bumps, right? We're good? You can keep going further either direction. I was just trying to not overcrowd this time. So I'm going to put these guys in. Okay. What do you want to tell me first? Oh, we should at least label this point. Where was it finished at? Our original graph finished at pi over 2, right? Okay, so what can you tell me? Here's the cosecant graph. Did I confuse anybody? Everybody remembers where it crosses is where the asymptotes go, and then all the little bumps flip over. And I need maxes and mins. I should have put an asymptote here too. Okay, which you want to label first? Asymptotes or points? Well, on the original graph, if it was a period of pi over 2, how do we find quarter points? We divide it by 4, which is multiplying by 1/4, which is pi over 8. So on our original graph, this was a pi over 8. This was a 2 pi over 8, which is a pi over 4. For that asymptote. This is a 3 pi over 8. And a 4 pi over 8 is 1/2. So the next one out here is 5 pi over 8. And the next asymptote is 6 pi over 8, which would be 3/4, right? And then the asymptote is the same distance. So this is negative pi over 4. And what is this? Same distance, right? So it's negative pi over 8. It just happens to be at -2. And this one was at +2. And this one is at -2. And this one is at +2. Did I manage to make it a little less obnoxious looking? I did not give you like a place where you had to put ordered pairs or a place where you had to list the equations of the. I'm just going to look at your graph for all those things. That makes sense? And I might have to spend a lot of time rewriting stuff you probably already wrote on your graph. Any questions? More practice on that out of the book, or there's not remediation over there, I don't think, yet on that one. All right, inverse functions, we need to do this or we don't? Colored, we do? Colored unit circle, yes? You get to use on this first quiz so that you don't give me a wrong answer in the wrong quadrant. What quadrant should I be looking for here? 1 and 4, and in quadrant 4, I can't use names like 7 pi over 4 or 11 pi over 6. I have to use what? Negative names. So this one is at negative pi over 3. Do I need to pull the unit circle up on here for you? Okay, tangent is a pain in the neck, right? What ordered pair am I? Well, first of all, tangent is in quadrants 1 and 4 again, but positive in 1. So I'm in quadrant 1. What ordered pair is going to give me a y over x that reduces to this? Well, it's either this ordered pair or this ordered pair, right? With 2's. So just give yourself process of elimination, okay? So now if I put the y over the x here, I just get square root of 3 over 1. But if I put it here, I get 1 over square root of 3. which would make this. And that ordered pair happens at? Yes. You can talk to him later. That's not the way I want you to be doing it. Okay. Inverse cosine. Okay, where is the cosine? -1. So cosine is quadrants 1 and 2, yes? So -1 occurs at pi. Am I right? Arctangent. Where is the tangent? Where is the tangent -1? What's going to make a tangent? What 1 and 4, right? So it's negative in quadrant 4. What's the ordered pair that's going to become a 1? Square root of 2 over 2 and square root of 2 over 2, and this one's negative, so that it happens at 7 pi over 4, but I can't call it that. I have to call it, okay. On your colored unit circle, it's renumbered, but you remember this is the only time you get to use that. Next time you'll have to remember to renumber it. Okay. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this one, but where's the sign? Negative square root of 2 over 2. It's where we just were, right? And then it asks me what is the cosine at that spot? So even though inverse cosine isn't defined there, that's not what it's asking. It's asking what is the cosine at that spot, and it's positive. Are we good? All right, what's different about these two? You have to make a drawing. These are not always quadrant 1 angles. I promised you this one with the x's you can do in quadrant 1, but this one you got to determine. Inverse tangent is positive. That tells me I'm in quadrant 1. This one says arc sine or inverse sine, which is negative where? Quadrant 4. Okay. Those are horrible right triangles. Okay. Tangent is opposite over adjacent. I do Pythagorean theorem. I get a 5. The sine is 4/5 opposite over hypotenuse. On this one, sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Which one gets the negative? The 3, because I went down. The cosine's not going to have a negative, right? Because it's to the right, it's positive. For square root of 40, which is 2 square roots of 10. I'm doing Pythagorean theorem super fast in my head. Everybody okay? Cosine 2 square roots of 10 over 7. No? What did I do wrong? Lorta, you're looking. Oh, okay. Everybody okay? More practice on this is on worksheet 27 or 8 or 29 or 30. There's more practice on this in your packet, okay? There's a bunch of review worksheets that we didn't get to. This is the one you can draw in the first quadrant. How am I going to write this? Adjacent over hypotenuse. Okay? So I have x squared plus some goofy, I don't know, leg squared equals 6 squared. That becomes leg squared equals 36 minus x squared, right? And I still need to, can I simplify that? Now it wants the tangent, which is opposite over adjacent. Okay. We're going to get that one right, guys? All right. You do have to write law of sines and cosines, and this is where it says on the quiz, switch to degrees. Okay. Can I skip writing out law of sines and cosines? Or do you need to know what I expect it to look like? Yeah, like this. What'd I do? Oh, that's okay. I think in the quiz they're in this order. Yes, that would go here. This would go here. My bad. All right. This says area. What most people get wrong is they don't read directions. What are we going to have to use for this disgusting one? The formula that's on the board over there. How do you use it again? Add them all up and divide by 2, and that's the S. So then it's 7 times 7 minus 5 times 7 minus 5 times 7 minus 4, and square rooted. Can I skip doing that one? I'm going to skip doing this one too. How do you find the area of this triangle? That's on the pink sheet, which you won't have. You'll have a yellow copy, remember? It's 1/2 side times sine of the angle in between. This one, it doesn't matter what mode your calculator is. This is the first time on the quiz, because it's 82 degrees, your calculator has to be in degrees, okay? So first, you can check my answer key. I get this one wrong on both versions of my answer key because I forget to switch and don't notice it right away. But as soon as you get to one of these and you get like negative 1.8 as your angle, you're like, yeah, something's wrong. All right, how do you find out angle E on this one? 27 squared equals. Okay, could I write a little bigger? Okay, tell me how I'm going to type that in, because this is the one everybody gets wrong. I always subtract these over to the other side. And then what do I have to do with all this mess? I have to divide it. And this is equal to the cosine of E. So what I usually do, and please show work on here so I can tell if you made a little mistake. Do you know what I'm saying? Nobody wants to get a concept error because you typed something wrong. And I usually do this in pieces. I got negative 680 over negative 1400. So it's going to turn out to be a positive, right? Right. Inverse cosine mode degrees. Oh, I am in degrees. What do you know? Inverse cosine 680 divided by 1400. Okay, I got 60.9. Anybody else getting that or not yet? Okay. Any questions on that one? Okay. Do you need me to do? Be careful. Read what it asks for. It's asking for KP, so then you're going to do what? Law of sines, but you are going to have to find that missing one up there. 180 minus 36 and 30 is 114. So you'd have like sine of 114 across from 42 equals sine of 30 across from x. Is that going to have two possible solutions? Nope, only when you're looking for an angle. I'm not going to do that one. If you want answers to check, they're either in the Google Stream or over in the binder. This one? A, B, oh, E, F, D maybe? E is 50 degrees, D is 20, side E is 16. We want to find angle F. Gross. Because we can't find angle F right away, can we? We got to find angle D first. All right. Angle D is across from 20 in the same way that the sine of 50 degrees at E is across from 16. You might want to be paying attention because I think this was going to be the two solution one. So if I type 20 sine of 50, closing my parenthesis, divided by 16, inverse sine, I get 73.2. And anytime you've done inverse sine, then if you subtract that answer from 180, okay, if I have a 50 already, can I have a 106? Yes. Okay, now I don't think I did this to you on the quiz, but both of these are D and they want F. So you have to say if D is 73.2, I have 180 minus a 20, no, a 50, sorry, a 50-degree angle and a 73.2, that would make F 56.8. If the D had instead been 106.8, 180 minus 150 and 106.8 would leave 23.2. Did someone else get those answers? Yeah. Okay. I think on the quiz I just asked for the more obvious, like D or whatever, but pain in the neck. Okay. Why do you think I put this one on here? Okay, well, first we'd have to find what? Sine of 61 over 16 equals sine of C over 25. Type it real fast, see what happens. Yep, that one's no solution. Okay. Directions say there could be one with more solutions or no solution. All right. Do we need me to do applications? This one has a 10-degree in here. I'm not reading the problem to you. And wants you to find this. So you're looking at that little triangle in there. What would you use? Anybody? Law of cosines? And the kind where you just type it in, as long as you remember the formula correctly, and to square root at the end, you get it right. Yes? Okay, could I have written that more messy and disgusting? And yeah, it's just a hot mess. This says 120. All right, anyway, sorry about that. Questions? What did we skip on the review? Anything? Not really? Okay. This one, on one of the ones on the quiz, you have to draw your own, I think, and the other one it's drawn for you. But this one says the angle formed by AC and the tree is 27, so I think that means out here. Angle ABC is 85, it says. AC, it clearly says, is 150, and it wants you to find out how far across the swamp. This is another, this would be a law of sines question. Anything off 27 or 28? I still got 30 seconds. 26 or 27? 25 or 26? The worksheets, 25 or 26? 25 or 26? Nobody? All right, guys, quiz tomorrow.